to my right would say it's Georgia, Florida. This is how it goes. Has gone for all these years. I'm really proud and happy tonight to have my good friend, Loran Smith from the Georgia Bulldogs on the show. Why not? It's Florida Georgia week. Or Loren, how do you say it?
Well, I didn't. You say it again. You broke up on me.
I said that it's Florida Georgia week here. What is it there?
Oh, I think that's great. It's always been great.
Except you call it Georgia, Florida, don't you?
Well, yeah, I don't really worry about that.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Too much. But I noticed the city of Jacksonville has done a good job of rotating. If it's on Georgia's, well, one flag says Georgia, Florida, and the next one says Florida, Georgia.
Yeah.
Alphabetically, it would be Florida, Georgia. But I can tell you Kirby Smart doesn't give a damn about all of that. All he wants to do is win, and I'm sure the Florida coaches feel the same way.
Billy Gonzalez is his name. He's the interim coach. We'll talk about him in a minute. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in. I'm going to play my introduction song. And I'm going to come back and have the pleasure of having one of the most distinguished people in sports. He's not just a football guy, by the way. You may see him anywhere, and I have all over the world, whether it's the British Open, whether it's the Masters, whether it's Smith and Walensky's sitting in downtown New York when I ran into him one night. He's everybody's buddy. He's my buddy. He's Loran Meadows. Stand by. Loran coming on with us and Ben Troupe after this.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. I'm Buddy Martin. He's Loran Smith. We're old friends, and we're talking ball this week. We do this a lot. I remember, Loran, many, many good days we had at various golf tournaments, mostly the Masters, talking college football with the great Dan Jenkins.
Yes, all those years, you and I were great friends with Dan Jenkins, and we'd be at somewhere like the British Open, and, Tiger Woods was in his prime. And he'd come into the press tent and everybody go sprinting into the interview room to hear what Tiger had to say. Jenkins would say, hell, he ain't going to say anything. Let's go get a cup of coffee. And talk college football. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
Woods has got the whole press corps of the world at his knee listening to what he had to say. And Jenkins, and I think he joined us a time or two. We'd be in the media eatery, having something to eat and drinking coffee, talking about college football. And if Dan were here today, I could predict, I think, let's see if you agree with me, he wouldn't like a dadgum thing about what's
He would hate it.
Now. He would hate it.
He would hate it. Absolutely hated everything about it. He'd be real on about it. And he did it so beautifully. I mean, I still think he's the greatest sports writer that ever lived, in my opinion. I put your friend Furman Bisher up there pretty high too, but without going down memory lane here, let me just say it's been my great pleasure to be your friend and to have seen you. One night I was sitting in Smith and Walensky's with my friend Joe Williams from Denver, our guys, and sitting there, and these couple of people came in and sat down, big round table, about 6 guys, and my wife said, "I think you got some coaches over there, buddy." I said, "Okay, whatever." I'm just socializing. And next thing you know, one of them's tapping Joe on the back. And it was, it was, don't you? You were at the table with him. You and it was Brown, Coach Brown and the whole gang. Y'all were having dinner at Smith and Walensky's, and he made over Joe because he knew Joe was a Texas fan, and Joe was thrilled to death. And signed autographs, whatever. One of the many things are you sort of like you pop up, and I will say this, and I'll get on to other things like the game that people want to talk about. There was a time of fierce rivalry, but great friendship. And I love the people who could see beyond that, like Tony Barnhart.
Yes.
People tell him all the time, I didn't know you were Georgia Bulldog. That's the highest compliment you can pay somebody. It's like when they talk about politics, if they're a Republican or a Democrat. That's great. So anyway, it's been great. Now, here's the thing, Loren. We're getting up here in years, and I don't buy green bananas anymore. But things are changing now. This is the last time we're going to have the Florida-Georgia game in Jacksonville now for 3 more seasons. This is the last one. Then 2 are going to be home and home. That's going to be different.
And we're going to be a couple of years older. And
hopefully.
Yeah, like the old song, Deeper in Debt. So,
there you go. Yeah, that's right.
But you prospered. You made all the big money. I
sure I did. Yeah. Where did it go? So I want to know. I love one thing about Coach when he says, and I believe him, Lane Kiffin, I didn't care about money, don't care about it now. And of course, Jimmy Sexton goes crazy when he says that because Jimmy Sexton does care about money. To be Jimmy Sexton, they have all the clients he's got. So tell me what you know, and I'm going to keep you in a minute now. You got guests. Got Mike over there in the corner, former Bulldog player, championship team. I won't keep you, but I want to pop Ben Troupe on for 1 second while he went away. And I want to get your thoughts on this whole situation with coaches at this point. Kirby right now is the top of the heap, and he deserves it. He's been there. He may win it again this year. You never know. It doesn't look like it, but you can't tell. And so this whole coaching, Loren, there are 10 openings and about to be probably 14, a bunch of them in the SEC. What rumors, if anything, do you hear about what coaches are moving where?
Well, I'm a traditionalist, so I don't like it. I prefer that it have some sanity, but I don't know how you're going to get it because the profession has reached a point to where you can't hire a good prospect unless you give him some sort of good package. And if the salary is even with the way the top coaches are being paid, you have a situation where it's just going to cost the university at some point. And buddy, there is no way anybody can look into a coach's eyes and tell if he's the right thing, just like a coach has a problem looking into the eyes of a prospect and trying to figure out if he got the heart for the game. Is he going to be a team player? You just, it's like a beauty review, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, they say. So it's just a sad thing because I look at it this way. I'm a traditionalist. I don't like what's going on because I like for there to be law and order, peace and order, just my personal sentiment. And I just think if a coach gets a buyout of $50 million, we will say, and that's not unusual. Think of what $50 million would do to your top professors on campus who might find a cure for campus or do something good for the world. Mm-hmm. So I think universities are commissioned for, based on tradition, to doing some good in the academic world, and this is getting all skewed and just totally out of sync. So I hate it because I don't think it's the best thing for us and the best thing for society. And coaches in the old days didn't really have money on their mind. They didn't coach for the money. But I hear everybody say now, ex-coaches, particularly coaches' wives, just want my husband to get a job in coaching, get a 5-year contract.
Get fired.
And get fired the next day would suit me. Well, that's said in jest, but there's something to be said about what does a university get out of all of this? It used to be that, and I think if it were fair today, buddy, you could get a coach to work for $500,000 and he'd be super happy if it were like it were in the old days. And the old days for us was just 20 years ago, 10 years ago even.
Yeah, I mean, I think back about, when Spurrier got the $1 million contract to go to Washington and later said he'd never take a job for money ever. And I think about, how salaries have escalated. I know Vince probably made $50,000 when he first started out, if that, in Georgia. I remember the Florida coach, Ray Graves, asking for a raise, and the president saying, if I give you a raise, you'll be making more than me. So, and that was on much money then. So, but look at the whole situation as it is. We still love the game of college football. Well, when the ball goes on the down in the grass and they kick it off and they're playing, we don't think too much about who's getting what contract. It's a great thing about Florida, Georgia, and a great thing about this rivalry, which is, by the way, I don't get people who don't understand the importance of this game. They don't quite, who are not from around here, don't understand this thing. I did an interesting thing. I took, what artificial intelligence is, right? I went on the app and I asked them to write me a story about Florida, Georgia, in the vernacular of Steve Spurrier since 1960 through now, what it's been like. And it's really interesting what they talked about. And and I know, you remember, I was at the game in 1966 when Spurrier kicked the field goal. I was there when he took the team to Georgia and Jacksonville, and Georgia took it apart. I remember it well. And that was a game that Georgia, that's the worst win Georgia ever got, because he made them pay for 11 seasons, 10, 11. After that, Spurrier, that was the one regret he had bitterly. But Florida, and then of course now swung back Georgia's way, and it's Kirby's time. Kirby is to Georgia now as Florida was to Spurrier then. And you talk about that. Now, tell me a little about Kirby. You told me the other day that Kirby never really cared about anything but football and his family. Is that right?
That is correct. He has no other interest. I think if he had the luxury of time, he might be interested. Well, I do know two things he likes. He likes to play golf, but he can't play golf because recruiting lasts so long. He likes to shoot quail. He grew up in South Georgia, Bainbridge, Georgia, so he can't shoot quail because the quail season is during the height of recruiting season. Mm-hmm. So he has to give up the things that he likes. He does find a way to enjoy trips internationally with his family, and so that's about it. And I see him someday when he retires, and he'll probably be like Saban, work till he's reached a point where he's satisfied with his financial situation, and he'll take in the sights of Europe. He might go to the cathedral at Rome. We might even go to, Istanbul or somewhere like that. Because his parents both are school teachers, and I know his mother well, and she used to fuss at him when he was a kid about reading more books. But right now, he can't be anything but a football coach and a family man. That's all. That's it. And he does a good job because he is so well organized, buddy, and I think all coaches, generally speaking, are, but he takes it to the ultimate degree. You can't recruit if you're not punching out a recruit's phone number to leave him a text message or have a conversation with him. You have to do that all the time. Every waking minute, coaches are on the phone with recruits, and then they're on the phone with other people about the recruits, know about them. They also are on the phone with coaches talking about something having to do with helping them win the next game out. So, but one thing, buddy, that I think is important about college football coaching today that I never hear of it. you remember when everything was film and film
Yeah,
had
yeah.
slides?
Yeah,
You know, that was tedious work. And
absolutely.
the coach stayed up late hours. But now Kirby doesn't spend the night at the office. He has no Dick Vermeil syndrome in him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true of all coaches. He works so efficiently, and you're not going to get into his office and have a cup of coffee. He ain't doing that unless you're 6'4" and run a 9 flat 100. You ain't getting in there, and if you get in there, you don't small talk. And I'm not suggesting other coaches aren't like that. I suspect they are. I just know about.
Well, Kirby's all business, right? Kirby's all business. I'm gonna click these two guys on real fast. Let them say hi to you and get you out of here because I know you got guests here, and I promise I would. This guy you might remember Franz Ben Troupe, a tight end from up your way. Say hello to Loran Smith, guys.
Hey, Loren, how you doing, bud?
Hello.
What's up, Troopsy? Turn your audio on, Ben. You're on.
How you doing, sir?
Looking, I'm the one without a hat.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say this is the last game in Jacksonville for 3 more years. I personally am going to miss it being in Jacksonville. There's something about it that's special, and it's always great to have guys like Loren and also Tony Barnhart, whatever they own, and to celebrate the great game of college football. Guys, you got one question, but Loren, he's got to go.
All right, now here's my question: Who you take? I figure you're taking Georgia, but by how
The
much?
audio is not working.
But
You got it?
No, I didn't get the question. I can't hear him.
Okay, well, he says I'll start to ask it for him. He says, I figured taking Georgia. And what did you say, Franz? Go ahead.
And by how much?
By how much by Georgia? How much you pick Georgia by? Loren?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
You want me to pick?
How much you pick Georgia by?
I've never been good at picking anything but chicken. I grew up on a farm. So I don't know. You work with a team as you do Florida. You naturally have sentiment for your own team, your closest team. I think it'll be close because one thing we know, Florida has really good players. And I tell everybody, I think if I were coaching at Florida, I could recruit pretty good because you got zillions of great players within an hour's drive of Gainesville. So you couldn't have it any better than Florida has it. So I know Florida's got good players. But Georgia has had remarkable resiliency under Kirby. And I think from the Georgia perspective, with things having gone so well in recent games in which our offensive line finally has some togetherness and has some ability to play as a unit. You know, offensive linemen will tell you the little nuances in the game that they learn to communicate with each other. They have a feel. And it was musical chairs for the first 4 weeks at Georgia to the extent they didn't have an opportunity to develop that continuity. But somehow or other, the discipline Kirby has worked well against Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Auburn. We did not have a single offsides or motion penalty. So I think Georgia has an ability right now, based on where we are, to develop consistency in moving the football on offense. The defense is not as good as it has been, so it could be a high-scoring game.
All right, Loren, I'm gonna let you go, brother. You know, and I'll be on your show on Saturday. Looking forward to that, and always great to catch up with you. You're looking good, and sounded good, and sure look forward to being with you again soon.
Well, I'm going to double the pay that I'm getting, so you'll make twice what I'm making tonight.
Well, I don't want to make that much. I like that. I'm not greedy. Just give me my regular pay, okay?
All right, thank you, buddy. And
Thank you,
I'll tell you about my friends. You know Mike, but his daddy, Vernon Brinson, is a great baseball player at Georgia. So
okay, sure, yeah. There's Ben real fast. You got a question for Loren?
I do. What makes Florida Georgia different? Like, I was blessed to play. What makes it different?
Ben, of course, is in the Hall of Fame, Florida Georgia Hall of Fame. A great tight end. He played 5 years in the NFL. He said, "What makes Florida Georgia different?"
I'm sorry.
What makes Florida Georgia different? He said.
Oh, the game?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the rivalry is the basic, but you've just got all of the attention, and you usually have good weather. I can't ever remember but one rain out, one or two.
I can remember one, especially one of the rain in '68.
Yes.
Franz and I remember it quite well. Franz sat in it as a college kid.
And then, a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but our friend Bill Castells came up with that line, "World's greatest outdoor cocktail party." It's been that, and I think that has something to do with it.
Still going to be around here. We still call it that.
Yeah, I think that the atmosphere is really good. And the television people loved it before television got to be what it is today.
Yeah.
And I think some of that had to do with you didn't play that many games on TV. In fact, it didn't really get to get the annual commitment out of the networks until the early 80s.
Yeah.
Georgia won the national championship in 1980, and the first time we were on television was playing South Carolina the week before we played Florida. Mm-hmm. So television on an annual basis didn't start right away. But it's come to be something that's important to the financial coffers of both schools, to the extent that I know our folks say you make more money playing in Jacksonville than you would if you went home and home. So that'll give you an idea of how much the financial impact is there, and it's very important to the two schools now more than ever.
Final question: tell us what you think the Bulldog fans think of Steve Spurrier now.
Well, nobody's going to invite him to dinner.
Well, he didn't.
Buddy, I want to know, you're close to the scene. You're close to the heartbeat. Is Lane Kiffin the guy Florida wants?
Well, that's my understanding, but I don't know that because no one's talking. I would say the fans certainly he's a favorite around here. Speaking of which, real quick, let's talk about the antics of the governor of Louisiana today. What an ass he made out of himself, and now he's probably ruined it to get the coach they want. I don't think Lane could go to that LSU now, and you don't want to go to a place where the governor's getting involved with the deadgum situation, So I think that he may have cost them Lane Kiffin. What do you guys think?
I don't really know what of these guys, your guests, other guests say. Y'all have the best opinion. You got an ear to the ground.
All right, let them respond. I don't know if you can hear or not, then we'll let you go. Frank, go ahead, Franz.
I think that the governor of Louisiana is Scott Woodward. Scott, the one thing I know about Scott is Scott has an ego that could apply for statehood. And I think the governor got in it with him, and it goes back and forth. And so then the governor in response, let his alligator mouth bite off more than his hummingbird ass could handle. And
I don't think Loren can hear anything you're saying, so I'm gonna cut it short there. And
I didn't hear him, buddy.
Yeah, so they can't hear you there without in. But anyway, so all right, so I'm gonna begin here being any. All right, I'm gonna let you go, Loren, because it's been. But you did get on tonight. You made it on. You clicked the link, and here you are. It's great to be with you. And I'll talk to you on your show Saturday. All right.
All right. Thanks, buddy, and thanks for your guest. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you very much, Loren. The great Loran Smith. What you got, Loren? All right. What you got, Loren? Yeah. So guys, thanks for bearing with me on that. That was a reach for him to get on the online like that. That was his first time clicking on a link and being on live on the streaming show. How you doing, guys?
Well, it's a breaking news kind of night because Chuck Girolamo, who was just named the interim coach at Florida.
Yeah, baseball.
He is now the head coach at Tennessee.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No, I am not.
He didn't even get a chance to play his first game, and he's the head coach at Tennessee.
He is the new head coach at Tennessee. So Florida baseball is in a real jam.
Oh my gosh!
And now we already know that Scott Strickland has you talk about the weight of the world on his shoulders, because it's pretty much with the boosters that he's kind of got a mandate to make a Godfather offer and come home with Lane Kiffin or else. Now, on top of that, he's got to get a baseball coach in here, because everything I'm hearing about Kevin O'Sullivan, I mean, I realize he's taking a leave of absence.
What if he might come back?
Well, we better hope he comes back now, because if he doesn't come back, Florida is in deepest and darkest.
I think it's going to piss him off enough even more to come back.
This would be a total unraveling.
Oh my gosh.
of the program. My hope is that Scott would reach out. We've got some former Gators who are really good. The guy the guy that was handled all the recruiting and everything like that was Chuck Girolamo. He was in charge of recruiting. He was assistant head coach, etc. His brother was a former All-American catcher at Florida. This is a really difficult
that's a blow
situation.
Ben, did you know about that?
I did not. And I mean, I think the situation right now with with baseball, while it would be a healthy distraction only if everything wasn't going on with trying to find a new head coach of football. And if you are Scott Strickland, you saying to yourself, dude, like, how do I handle it? I mean, pulling our coach to go over to Tennessee, I mean, I don't know how that goes as far as, like, you got to take these opportunities, I guess, when they present themselves. But that's why I'm always saying that college athletics is the most intriguing sports league there is. There's always something going on. I mean, football obviously is king, but at a place like Florida, everything matters. Every team we have, and even I didn't even get a chance to weigh in on the freaking situation in LSU. I think Scott Woodward, I think he's going to get fired. I think they're moving on from him.
I think you're right.
He has been fired.
He was fired tonight.
Woodward has been fired.
Really?
Oh yeah.
This Woodward situation reminds me when Greg Schiano, when Dan Mullen first got hired, Greg Schiano tried to get hired, I think, up there with Tennessee, and the fans lost their mind. That's when I think Philip Fulmer became the AD. It was a bunch of craziness, and I think sometimes when it comes to these ADs, when Jeremy Foley, very fond of Jeremy Foley. He doesn't get enough credit for how much he was able to keep things halfway calm with the alpha males he hired or who he was seeing, if you want to call that. Sometimes a place like Florida, people be thinking, man, I want to be the AD. People are like, are you sure? You'll take the money. You'll take the private jets and everything's comped, but people are watching you. Every move you make. So, I mean, Scott Strickland, like you said, Franz, he got the weight of the world. Well, somebody just added a freaking, they just added a freaking boulder because it just got crazier. Because while everybody gonna be watching, who becomes the head coach of Florida, which I think Lane Kiffin, because of what's going on at LSU, definitely makes Florida that much more, attractive. This situation with Coach O'Sullivan, this is a crazy one because who are you going to get in the meantime, in between times? Florida's
the guy who I would go immediately to get? That's the guy that's been in the booth, Jeff Cardozo, who is
I was just thinking about him as our guy.
Former outstanding pitcher for the Gators, a guy that is totally in touch with the baseball program, has the respect of all the players and everything like this. And he is the one guy that I can think of off the top of my head that could step in
right now and be interim. Yeah, he wouldn't. He's followed the program, so he can play every game.
Yeah,
not a bad idea, Franz. Not a bad idea. Well, this is crazy. But now, one thing we got to keep in mind: we talk about how things are different now. It's the money. It's the money. It's the money. There's so much money out there; they don't know where to spend it, and everybody's going crazy on the money. I mean, God bless. This is incredible, unbelievable. What else can happen? It's Florida Georgia week, and Lane Kiffin. I wonder what he's thinking right now. Now LSU can't go to LSU now, can he, guys? Hold that thought. I'm gonna do this commercial. Come back and tell me, can he go? Would he go? And did he ever want to go? Lane Kiffin next, right here on Buddy Martin Show. Meanwhile, we tell you about our good friends at Meldon Law. They do it right. They're always there. They care very much about you, about this community, about their community, about the Gators. And they're great people. And I said this before, I'll say it again as a testimony. They're really good lawyers. The key is if they don't have the guy just right for you, and every case is different, they will go out and find you somebody that doesn't work for them. Maybe they don't make a dime off of it, and they'll get you the right person. I'm living testimony to the fact that that can work. I just won my lawsuit. It was going for 14 months against an insurance company who tried to screw me over. And I went to Jeffrey for guidance, and he said, it may take a while. We'll see what we can do. And he found the right attorney, gave me the attorney, and I signed up with him. It's been a long and arduous process. I just got the word that finally I have enough money to fix my house in the last hurricane because I had to file suit. The insurance company tried to screw me over. It may be something big, it may be something small, but they're there. They're there all the time in the locations in Gainesville, Ocala, Wilson, Lake City, now one near Boca Raton. They have 50 attorneys now. No longer it's a little law firm. Meldon Law, they won't back down.
Can I add something about Jeffrey from a personal standpoint? One thing about it is, a lot of lawyers, as we know, get a bad rap. I mean, there's a lot of people who think that the only honest lawyer is one who's already in the grave. I can tell you right now, Jeffrey Meldon may be the exception to that rule. He's a guy that he won't bite off more than he can chew. He won't back down from anybody, but he is not going to say I can do something that he can't do. And I appreciate that about him because he also is a guy that when the Gators need something, they can go to him. And if he can do it, he will do everything in his power to do it. He's been the ultimate alumnus and booster.
Yeah.
So I'll to know Jeffrey is to like him. That's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Good man. There's so much. State again, because people are just popping on and saying, what? State again what just happened to the Florida baseball program, Franz.
Chuck Girolamo has taken the job as the head baseball coach at the University of Tennessee. That is a huge, huge loss. He has been the Florida's recruiting coordinator. He's been the guy that coaches third base. He's a former catcher himself who's like Sully, knows pitching and everything like this. This is a major, major blow because you got Sully now taking a leave of absence. And I've had some of Sully's friends tell me they don't think he will ever come back. They think that he may just go ahead and retire right now. From what I know about Sully, he's a guy that's got to be in a dugout somewhere. So I hope he can get everything straightened out. I know a lot of the issues and everything like this. In the meantime, like I said, I think Jeff Cardozo would be a great guy. And I'd like to see Florida reach out and maybe get a guy like Brad Wilkerson, who was a great two-way player for the Gators and played like 12 seasons in the majors, or somebody like Matt Laporta, who was I'd like to see them come get somebody who is a former Gator who has name recognition and say, okay, you come be on this staff as well, because they've got to do something. You know, we talk about home run hires for football, buddy. They got to have a home run hire here.
Well, it is baseball. It is baseball. They do have to have
It is baseball, but I'm talking about.
No, I'm saying, get it? Home run, baseball, you know.
Oh, okay. My brain dead. Go. You put one over on me, Bud Light. But this is because recruiting for baseball, you're recruiting sophomores now, and that's how that works. Is because they're committed before their senior year. So you're recruiting sophomores who are going to play their junior year, and then sign up in November before their senior season.
Right.
And it's an imperfect system, but it's one that's worked well for Sully because he's a great recruiter.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose. You know, the SEC is so good in baseball now. I think we have 14 teams made the NCAA last year in baseball. You can't afford, even a one season drop off.
All right, let me jump over to the other subject and bring in Loren, because we mentioned the situation in Florida and the AD and what's going to happen there. We don't know if he's going to have a job in 6 months from now. The way they're lopping off the heads of ADs, you just never know who's going to make those decisions. And it brings me to the point of one of the topic of conversations, what's happened in Louisiana. And you talk about being toxic. Tim Brando keeps talking about Florida being toxic. There is no more toxic program in college sports now than LSU. You got the governor involved now. You got all that mess and crap. When you get politicians and politics in college football or basketball, it becomes toxic. And yes, it has happened in Florida before. I was there and I was part of it when Stephen O'Connell came in there and forced Ray Grace to retire. And the things that happened after that, and we had an NCAA violation. Stephen O'Connell was part of that. I got involved because my stories were used as part of the evidence. And O'Connell called me a liar to one newspaper, and I had a letter in my hand from the NCAA head of Walter Byers, the czar, saying the Florida matter was coming before the ethics committee, and O'Connell denied it, and he didn't know. I knew I had it right there. He called me a liar, and that, not because it was about me, but that was one of those things where they had an investigation and they didn't find anything wrong. O'Connell went up on top of a flatbed truck and says, "Yay, the NCAA, they've proven it. We did it right. They endorsed our way." No, they didn't endorse the way. And next thing you know, Walter Byers came out and never does this in Kansas City and said, just because we didn't find Florida guilty doesn't mean they didn't do something wrong. We just didn't have enough evidence. Boom. And I wrote him back another letter and said, Walter Byers lives. So that was one of those things that really. So politics and college sports doesn't mix. And I know that Loren Meadows knows that too. What's up, Loren?
What's up, guys? Yeah, I mean, I think, you see some of the stuff that's going around with, certain people trying to get involved with the NIL and different committees, and obviously the gambling thing that happened in the NBA and them calling Adam Silver. I guess there's mob ties. We'll see about that. But I just think it's interesting with the governor of Louisiana, kind of putting things out there. And then obviously Scott Woodward being relieved. It's just getting interesting, man. And I hope that, they call it the free state of Florida. I hope that just everything kind of separate church and state, so to speak. Let the sports people handle the sports people and let the politics of things handle themselves. And we just get down to, good old sports again. But it's a lot of money involved. And whenever you get money involved, everybody wants a piece. Yeah. But, man, it's definitely different. I mean, that's for sure.
Can I say something, buddy?
Okay, now I want to get into the next topic, which is, does this ruin it for Lane Kiffin? Go ahead, Franz. Everybody answer that.
This I'll make it one sentence. The fact that Stephen C. O'Connell's name is on that building at the University of Florida is as big a disgrace as there is, and I'll just leave it at that, because the man doesn't deserve to have his name on anything prominent at the University of Florida.
Well, you know how I feel about that. I'll tell you the strange thing about that. Max Dean, who played there and was the captain of that 69 team, and knew Stephen O'Connell quite well. And he often came to him and talked to him about it. O'Connell did. And after the game, when O'Connell got all involved and messed it up, he came over to Mac's apartment one morning and got him out of bed and brought the football the team had signed for him and said, "You ought to take this back. I've done nothing but cause trouble for the University of Florida." He knew he screwed it up. And there's a classic example. And every time I see that name, Stephen C. O'Connell, I think about that. You know, the lies that he told, and he called me a liar. Anyway, all right. So does it change things, Loren, for Lane Kiffin now after LSU, after what happened there today?
Man, it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, I would say, yeah, because if I was Lane Kiffin, I wouldn't leave a situation that wasn't fluid. And I also would not get involved with a situation, like we said, where the governor is now chiming in on my job. I mean, I guess he can chime in. I don't know if I assume he's an LSU grad, so he can chime in, but where it's starting to be, you know, making the decisions and that kind of thing, I think it would put basically two schools in play. And I think the four of us are in agreement, and we're in agreement that it's either Ole Miss or Florida. I think even with LSU being where it was, but obviously now, you know, with changing AD, with an AD that looked to make splash hires, now, you know, you don't know what's going to happen, but I definitely would not venture down to Baton Rouge if I was Lane. So it's a 2-horse race. And I think he either stays at Ole Miss or, you know, is the next coach at Florida. So,
Ben Troupe, what do you think about this? Does it mess things up for him at LSU?
It does. I mean, from what I get from a guy like Lane, I mean, I know you got to answer to a lot of people, shake a lot of hands when you're the head coach. You got to do a lot of things you don't want to do. The last thing I want to do is be dealing with the governor. Like, that's the last thing I think any head coach wants to. I don't care where you coach at. And you know, not to get, you know, political, but politicians have a lot to say about people when they get to talk. When people in sports talk about politics, they'll jump on you. Who are you? Get up. You don't know nothing about what you're talking about. But that just shows you how galvanizing college football is. The governor can't even shut his mouth. He can't even be quiet. He's saying the quiet thing out loud. I guess that's a new thing they say, right? He's saying the quiet. But if you are Florida, you know, I thought it was going to be Florida, Ole Miss, no matter what. And I'm going to keep saying this. Yes, LSU is very good, but this has been the norm. Les Miles, when he left, bunch of stuff. When Loran got left, it was a bunch of stuff that came out after. So this happens as far as like, but I think for Lane Kiffin, if he does choose to go back to Ole Miss, he won't save. He don't want smoke. I want to be safe over here, and nobody's gonna get mad at him about that. But didn't he say he want to be like Coach Spurrier? Don't Coach Spurrier? He's still down the hall of games. All I'm gonna say is, Lane, this will be the last time I can say this proudly. This will be the last time you will be highly sought after like this, like this. I'm not saying you won't get other opportunities, but LSU, I don't think Lane was gonna go to LSU anyway. But I think it makes Florida that much more attractive with every. I knew LSU had problems, but good Lord, I mean the governor.
Yeah, right.
But here's the thing that's also part of this issue. Scott Woodward is also the guy that gave Matt Fortuna a great big contract at the same time that Florida signed Todd Golden. Okay, they came the same time, and Scott Woodward made a big deal out of getting Matt Fortuna from, I believe it was Murray State, and he was, oh my gosh, he was the big guy. Well, guess what? He had LSU basketball's in the tank. They've been pricked next to last in the SEC this year, and I'll be shocked if they don't finish last. They're going to have to fire a basketball coach and everything like this. The only good hire, well, he's had 2 good hires, but he's had some bad ones. He hired Kim Mulkey, and he hired Johnston, the baseball coach. He's made 2 good hires, but the 2 biggest hires, as far as the biggest sports on campus, men's basketball and football, have been duds. So
the happiest guy in the world about that is Florida's AD, Scott Strickland. Now he doesn't look quite so bad.
Well, the thing about it is the 2 lesser hires he's had have both won national championships, and that's Kim Mulkey and Paul, Mr. Johnson.
But and I know it's football and basketball. That's what it is. It's about.
It is. I got to tell you what, guys. All this is great distraction for the fact that the Gators are playing Georgia this week, and you got to admit, if Billy Gonzalez needs a smoke screen to go into Jacksonville, he certainly has one with all this stuff that's happening in the SEC and at Florida.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's it's a lot of good stories out there. I did something here. I don't know if I can show you or not, but I asked one of the artificial intelligence work sites to write me a story, and I'm going to probably get it on GatorBait at some point in time if I can find it, in a style of a 1960s or 70s sports writer by Steve Spurrier, as if he would talk about the Florida-Georgia game. And it's quite something, I'm telling you, interesting about his view as a writer. He's writing the story of what happened. And one of the things they focused on is that unbelievable 1966 Florida-Georgia game. And I'll share this with you about that. I had a good friend on that staff, and Franz, you know who it is, Ed Kinsler. You talk about relationships where you can get information every Friday night, no matter what. I went out for beers with Ed Kinsler, the offensive coordinator, just me and him, and he would give me the entire offensive game plan. I couldn't write it, but he would show it to me. That's amazing. You can do that with a coach. He can trust you that much. And what I'm bringing to is that I remember the night before the Florida-Georgia game, Florida was riding the high, whether you're 5th in the country, Franz or something at that point in time. And, and they had everything Spurrier ever wanted there in front of him. And he showed me on a napkin, I wish I'd have kept it, what they were going to do to cut down Georgia's splits. And he had Jack Coons across the middle, and he had Larry Smith in the flat, and he had whatever he drew up the right. And who knew that Larry Smith, big, strong guy, physical, who was his outlet pass, and he was a safe pass, would be tackled. I mean, literally tackled by Stanfield, the big tackle from Georgia. Every time he went out, he tackled him. He never got called for anything. And then Jack Coons got knocked down over the middle, and Spurrier dropped a look, tried to lay off the ball, no place to go with it. And he got sacked like 5-6 times, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Horrible game. They lost that game 28-7. What was it? 28-10 or whatever it was, something like that.
No, it was 21-13 was the final, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
28-17 maybe. But what the bottom line is that I remember that very well, and they were good, and that stuck in Steve Spurrier's craw. It was the worst thing that ever happened to the Georgia Bulldogs because he kicked their ass 10 out of 11 years or 11 out of 12. I've forgotten now. And he went up to South Carolina and kicked it 5 more times. And that was motivating. As you know, Ben, and you know, Loren, as a player, you don't forget those games. That's why I say often the losses are more important than the wins.
Buddy, you were right. It was 27-10. That was the final one there. I was thinking it was I thought it was like 20-13, but
yeah, whatever it was. Yeah. So, you know, guys, those losses sometimes can be costly to the team that wins.
What'd you say now?
The losses can be very costly for the team that beats. Like Georgia should never have beaten Spurrier that year because they paid through their nose.
Yeah.
And Jake Scott had a tremendous game at safety.
He made one or maybe two picks, I know.
Yeah. He really did. And you know, 2 weeks later, I think it was, or 3 weeks later, Florida played Miami in the here at Florida Field. And I think it was the biggest crowd they'd ever had at a Florida football game at that time. It was like 60,000. And Ted Hendricks sacked Spurrier.
No, that was in Tampa. I was there.
In 60.
Yeah, it was in Tampa.
60,
yeah, I know. I get my games mixed up. I know.
No, it wasn't. 66 was in Florida.
Well, when did he sack Spurrier in Tampa? I know he did the year before.
Anyway. 21-16 that year. Hendricks was a sophomore that year.
Yeah.
And
anyway.
Charlie Tate, who's an old Gator, told me that if they had kept sack stats at the time on Ted Hendricks, he would have had 100 sacks for his college career.
He was an amazing player. He was an amazing player. All right, so here's two relative newcomers. Not really. One's in the Hall of Fame. That'd be Ben. Ben's in the Florida Georgia Hall of Fame. Ben, tell us what that means.
I mean, it's the greatest to me. It's the most humbling achievement I think I've ever had in sports. And what makes it so humbling is, number one, I didn't even know they had, a Hall of Fame for Florida Georgia. I realized it in 2015 when Jabbar with Jabo and Chris Leak went in, and that's back when I was Twitter. It was Twitter then, just stalking the Florida Georgia committee, just letting them know, hey man, I would love to get nominated, something like that. Just let them know, because like I said, I didn't even know. And the very next year to get inducted in, it was like bittersweet for me, because number one, I thought my former teammates had a prank me. I'm like, God, they got me this time. These jokers, they done dug deep for this one. But it don't get no better than me, because I'm a Georgia boy.
I know, that's really something special.
Yeah, it is. And what made the Florida Georgia induction great. The great era was Vern Lundquist. I mean, he came in with us, and my mother, who is a just crazy football fan, my mom was holding my niece Jamie, was probably, I don't know, she wasn't even one yet. Itty bitty little thing. My mama about threw her grandbaby to my daddy when she saw Vern. Like when she saw him, she was like, "Oh shit!" I mean, thank God my daddy can catch. You know what I'm saying? And then there go Mike Spiegler. I'm sitting right beside Jeremy Foley. I mean, and let me say this. In my speech, I was not gonna cry, but then Jeff Chandler goes up there, man. Jeff went right before me. And I told Jeff, hey man, keep it together now. He's like, oh, I got you. Man, Jeff get up there, man, and cry. And when he sit down, I'm just looking at him like, I ought to slap. But I will say this. I hope my teammates know how much I appreciate them, because I give the credit to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm a country boy from Swainsboro, GA, man. I just wanted to go to college. Coach Burry come to my career in Augusta. I'm like, what's up, Coach? Coach thought my daddy was me. My daddy opened the door. He's like, how you doing, Ben? I'm like, that's his dad. Oh. so for me, it's one of those things that lives on forever. You know what I'm saying? I get to tell my kids and, grandkids one day, say, hey, man, we did all right, man. We did all right when we came through Hayesville, man. It's because I don't take no credit for that stuff, man. When those type of things happen, I look at the guys around me. I said, dude, I had Mike Pearson over there. I ain't really blocking on the left side, but, Mike kind of making me look good. Then I got Max on the other side. And then I got Rex throwing me the rock. If you can't catch a ball from Rex Grossman, you ain't got hands. That's the best way to describe it. I go from that to Chris.
I remember the jump. Oh, do you remember who it was you leaped over?
I do not, but I remember. But I will say this, Franz. I wasn't looking to do that. I remember Coach Burry saying, "Keep your feet on the ground," and I remember like the whole right side of my body. I couldn't even feel it. I mean, the Florida It's
Now,
really,
Lito
really
says you've been practicing that.
I will tell. Listen, I appreciate.
Lito says you practiced it.
I appreciate my listen. Listen. When I see Lito, I said, "Boy, I appreciate the lies you be telling on me, man. I appreciate them, man. You don't good. I wasn't practicing it, but I will say this: there is the greatest Florida Georgia game ever was when I got my mom and dad tickets. Right, this is long playing days long gone. And one of my friends go, "Hey, Troupe, man, is your dad in the stands? Is your dad at the game?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Your dad tried to buy a whole section food. Your mama told me, sit down. I'm going to the concession. Who wants something?" My dad comes back with like 30 nachos, and so it's stuff like that. My dad said, "Man, I'm just here because my son got me free tickets." That's when we went Jumpman. So my daddy got the Jumpman before we went to Jumpman. So I said, "Daddy, you're not supposed to have that on." He said, "You gave it to me, and I'm a rocket right here in the end zone." So good stuff.
You know what I remember so much is during the Spurrier years, with the exception of '97 when the team just went flat after Doug Johnson's deal with before the LSU game. You went into the Georgia game and you knew somehow, some way that Florida was going to win the game. Alex Brown, everybody talks about what he did against Tennessee. Alex Brown made a career out of Georgia. I mean, Alex Brown, who was the quarterback, Dudley Do-Right or whatever his name was, who beat the Gators in the '97 game. Alex spent the next 2 years just making that guy's life miserable.
Okay, the final 2 minutes here, I'm going to give Loren a chance real quick to talk about what it was like from up in Dayton watching the Florida-Georgia game. Then we're going to say goodnight. Loren, you saw it from up there?
Yeah. I mean, it was must-see TV for me, and it was funny because we had a young man, Zebra Sanders, who's been on the show. He was looking at Georgia. He was looking at Florida State. He was looking at Florida. But his mom played basketball at Georgia, so for me being a coach and coaching this young man, that was always kind of we would bet back and forth. But as somebody who lived in the middle of Ohio State, Michigan, and observed that rivalry, this is just like that, man. It's the same hatred, and I'll even give Florida Georgia the nod, or the cocktail party, as I like to say, because it is that they partying. Yeah. People just come in for Florida, for Ohio State, Michigan, then everybody goes their way. But the party that precedes Florida, Georgia is nothing like it. And having been able to experience that now in full view, I mean, it's unbelievable. And the fact that, once they get the stadium done, it's going to stay in Jacksonville. I mean, I wasn't a big Kirby Smart guy, but I really didn't like him when he was trying to get it moved out of Jacksonville. So, the fact that it's going to stay in Jacksonville and be where it's supposed to be, I mean, that's what I grew up. You guys know me, I'm a purist.
Yeah.
And that's
all right, now we got to go because we only want to get one pick. Loren, real quick, Florida, Georgia, pick me a pick.
Florida,
score
31-27.
Ben.
Florida, 34-28.
Franz.
I'm going to pick Georgia in white knuckles finish.
I'm going to go Georgia 31-28. I'm going to go. So, all right, guys, good job. Hope I'm wrong. Have a good weekend.
The Blue Jays are going to win the World Series.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Good for them. I'm glad they're playing good. I'm rooting for them. Yep. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks, Trey.
Tear Toronto up.
All right, guys. All right, folks, let me tell you about my friends at Titan MRI as we go out tonight. Titan MRI is one of our favorite sponsors, and Titan MRI and Imaging now has 3 locations to serve you. 2 in Gainesville with its Park Avenue location, now Millennium Center, and 1 in Lake City serving all the Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. Titan MRI and Imaging offers the same great customer service. They now accept insurance, or you can go through their convenient self-pay options. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, ultrasounds, easy scheduling with lots of options, including evenings. If you can't go in the day, they'll make an appointment at night. Here's the key. The larger MRI machines for your patient comfort. No ERs, no hospitals. Coming to Ocala soon. Better serve Marion County and the surrounding areas. Titan MRI, it's your choice. Folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great time this weekend. It's going to be a fascinating deal to see this Gator team under Billy Gonzalez. And it's going to be interesting. And not only that, I think it's going to be a good game. And I think I am rooting for Billy Gonzalez. I think it'd be terrific to see him bring one home. And good luck to the Gators. We'll be watching. And don't forget, I'll be on the Loran Smith show come this Saturday afternoon at 1:30, wherever that is. And what you got, Loren? I'll say to him. All right, folks, have a good night. And we'll come back to you over the weekend or Monday. Don't forget, tomorrow morning we do have our Panhandle Gator Club show right here at 10 a.m. Central Time with the other Rob, the two Robs. All right, have a good night.